Yeah, you bring actually a really good point, because it's a challenge that, I strive to say that you need to really find someone, whether it's an agency or it could be in-house, that is not just gonna like download the spreadsheet, that actually understand how marketing works, how the customer journey works, and then is able to really dive into the data and quantify that data. So you're totally right. Like everything that I do, I try to quantify. So it's not just qualitative, right? So what is it really a trend? And I'll give you an example where I think actually social media audience intelligence is really important, and perhaps even, not more than own data, but it should complement, COVID. The way that people have changed their behavior, it was so rapid, and we've done a lot of research on it on a weekly basis. It was so rapid that there is no way that could have been captured through traditional research method, right? Because perhaps the information you have from your customer at this point is outdated, right?
Yeah.
So audience intelligence and social media intelligence can really help you to spot this signal. This intent of, okay, what I'm gonna do, like e-commerce, okay, there has been an increase in e-commerce mention or behavior, right?
Yeah.
And that really will inform how you need to talk and communicate with your existing customers. So that, to me, it's powerful.
Yeah. So do you see any other limitations of these tools in terms of fitting the audience intelligence within the customer experience?
Yeah, so I mentioned the API, watch out where they're getting the data from. Again, it's not going to be everywhere. So that's number one. And then how you integrate the data with your own first party or different, data sources, whether it's, search or, email and so on. That's a huge, to me, that's actually becoming a trend for 2021, where there is a need for companies to really start thinking and mapping how that data will be integrated. There is still a lot of challenges in data visualization, a lot of silos, which is not as, it's normal, but someone who is into analytics may not understand how the social media data world is. So they're not thinking about connecting and integrating that data, which again, it's really valuable to provide this 360 view of your customer. And also there's been, I think, you probably know, right? Because we're both coming from tech. There is this idea that who owns that space? Is it the chief information officer, right? Is it the CMO? So that's gonna be one of the key challenges and things that brands should think about.
Yeah, very much so. I know before we came on, you were saying, how a lot of clients want to make it more granular, right? That like they want that information to go from the purchase to the actual persona, the actual person, and they want to be able to market to them, and that's not possible. So that's really good news. If you want to withhold information, like if you want to secure your privacy, it's actually very good news, right? But if you're a brand, it means that you need audience intelligence. You need clever people like us to work with influencers, to work with data, and to actually give you an understanding of what kind of words to use when you're writing blogs, what kind of videos that you want to use, and the titles and the headlines and the search terms and all of these things that are fundamental to the whole marketing strategy, right? So
it could be even like informing media, right? Planning and strategy, informing creative as well, right? And you bring a really good point, because if you look at customer experience and how it has evolved, right? It started back in the 60s, which was, super fascinating. And then as it evolved with technology, they actually start looking into customer engagement And you know, so if you think about it, social media, right? Like the way that now customers are able to interact with a brand on different channels. And they start looking into social media and the influence, right? The customer gets influenced not just by interacting with the brand, but then by what other people are talking about that brand. And those are things that needs to be captured through, again, it could be audience intelligence or social media intelligence. And that's where that focus should be, and get that data, again, back into your own party data.
Yeah, very much so. It's not easy. I mean, I think as regulations are going to hit harder, we're going to need to be smarter. We're going to need to learn more. We're going to need to actually manage more anonymized credit card record keeping. I think I see that as being a very big trend. I've actually got an interview lined up with a CEO in the next 2 weeks. He manages a company that they manage 80 million anonymized credit card purchasing records, right, from the US at the moment. So, you know, they're moving into Europe. I think these kind of, let's call them niche data sources, shall we? Shall we call them niche data sources? We call them first party. I don't know what the term is for that. I would just say it's an anonymized, high quality data source, right? Is there anything else you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I would say that it's right. I consider like data, like individual customer data. Of course, yeah, if it's anonymized, yeah, I wonder if there's going to be like a new term for such.
Maybe.
Such.
Maybe. I mean, I think that it takes some very smart companies to put all these things together, and it takes some very smart people and some smart programmers, right? Because it's like, you know, you can import all this data into your systems, yeah, but without having a plan of what you want to actually extract from that data, right? Like, yeah. It's all very difficult, yeah. And I think that there's always going to be a room for human activity within that process, because it takes a human to actually interpret what on earth is going on, right?
Oh, I agree. I mean, maybe I'm biased because that's what I do, right? But you always need like someone who is very strategic to really connect the dots. I mean, I always said that is very cliche, but yeah, you get all this data, but if you don't connect it and make sense of it, then it's useless, and you're not really doing a favor to, you know, to your business. And that's the problem that we've seen for years of silo. You know, you have a division that just does social media, and it's getting better. But when I started, it was, and you know, right, social media was, oh, it's just social media, it's just content, and it was not integrated whatsoever. But now I still see silo, but you know, now social media, the way I believe in social media data is that it should inform all different marketing strategies. It should not just inform, you know, social media, because it's again, it's research. It's like a focus group that you have. And that's really, you know, goes back to the customer experience, right? A customer experience across digital channels. Then let's use social insights in combination with other data sources to really understand what that, you know, mapping is, what that journey is as well.
Yeah, very much so. And I think there are lots of people that don't know what to do when it comes to a survey. It's like, well, you want to have a focus group. They've proven that focus groups actually are guided by the most testosterone fueled individual in the room, right? So you've got a group of 20 people. No, they've proven this, right? I was talking to someone about it the other day. Yeah, you know about it as well, right? So that alpha, female, male, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But that alpha is steering the attitudes and the behaviors and the opinions of all the other people. Whereas social media, listening to people and actually sending surveys as well on social media, it generates massive intelligence within businesses. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
But do you think that the problem is actually marketers who are driven by ROI and saying, well, where's the ROI in research? It's like, well, there isn't an ROI in research until you do the research, and then you turn back the clock 3 years and say, well, actually, we've increased our long-term brand value, loyalty, right, of our customers, because we listen to them and we change this, and this. And we know that that is a direct, so it's like a brand value. You can't directly apportion an increase in revenue based upon research. Yeah. So whoever's listening to this, like, if you hire people to do some research, yeah, they're doing research. You don't ask them an ROI question, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So I think it goes back to, why are you doing, why do you want to use social media or audience intelligence, right? And then who is going to do it within your division? And that's going to determine whether, an ROI becomes fundamental or not. So if in media, right, digital media spend, I've run Facebook campaigns and stuff like that. Of course, ROI was very important and easy to calculate. But yeah, to your point, understanding the audience intelligence and the way you map that ROI may not be as obvious, as easy to measure as a media spend.
Yeah, very much
technically, so. Technically, everything is possible.
Yeah.
You just need to have the right person who figure out a calculation, right? And that gets the data in, and
yeah,
right?
Very much so. But then, I suppose if you're using audience intelligence and social listening to craft your creative, and you're creating 150 or 120 different types of creative, and you're analyzing them, doing split testing, and you're coming up with some really good ROI from that, then you can almost work out, right? You can almost do it, right?
Yeah. And we do it. So an example would be, hey, we've done this research and our strategy suggests that you should be using, I don't know, a picture with a woman, right?
Yeah.
And maybe, maybe a woman who is not, maybe a woman who is in her mid-40s and maybe not as skinny as a model, right? Yeah. So that's the first starting point. Now, once you once you execute the campaign, right, then you still need to do testing and optimization. You always should.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes between, okay, I'm going to run two, I'm going to see which one perform best. And, there's and then what you should do while the campaign, is running, you should start analyzing the feedback from the customers who have seen the ad. What are they talking about? And there's been cases where people just have very negative sentiment around a picture, and then the clients change the picture based on the feedback of the customers, right? And then the performance just like skyrocket.
Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Right. So it always go back again to this audience intelligence and listening, right? And getting that feedback that it's agile, right? That's another thing that I love about, audience intelligence and collecting and monitoring behavior on social media, that it's agile. It happens in real time. I don't have to wait for a survey to goes out, right? Maybe the survey goes out only like every 6 months. I'm actually tracking the behavior as it happens, and then I can change my strategy and tactic right away, and that will save money.
Yeah, very much so. And I think the more intelligent marketers become and businesses are, the less money they're going to waste on ad revenue, right? Spending on ad revenue, like the cost of ads is crazy, and the more accurate we are, the better. But I agree, right. Yeah, it's an interesting world we're in. It's very interesting. And I know you've got to get to work, because it's getting towards 9 o'clock. Yeah. So real pleasure. And yeah, so if people want to find you, Gin, how do they get you? Shall I drop a link for your LinkedIn at the bottom here?
Yeah, yeah, LinkedIn or Twitter, Ginevra Adamoli, which nobody will be able to remember. But yeah, right. You know, I'm on Instagram or everywhere. Have different like accounts on Facebook so people can find me. But
well, it's been a real pleasure. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope everyone takes some great value from this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.